Okay, so enemy action count, intent, weakness, and toughness. Um, okay, so this one right here. So, all right. So this number right here is the turn count. So all enemies have an action count. That's their action count. That's 6. How many cards you can play before the enemy takes action. Every time you play a card, the action count goes down by 1. That's per turn. Like during your turn, it'll go down. So if you play a card, it'll go to 5. If you play another card, it'll go to 4, so on and so forth. Even if it's your turn, the enemy will immediately take action when its action count reaches 0. So once it's at 0, even if you still have action points or cards to play, they will attack. Like right away. Doesn't matter if it's your turn still. After that action, however, the enemy will not act again until the next turn. So I don't know if that means that the action count will reset and then they can still keep going down, or that means that once they hit 0 and they act, then there's no way of them, like it doesn't reset the count. So meaning like, let's say their action count is 2, right? And you use 2 cards, then they attack, and I don't know if it resets back to like, let's say 3, so that if you play 3 more cards, then it now has an attack stored up for when you end turn. Or if that means once I hit 0, then it's just done. Like there's nothing I can do until your next turn. Then it resets the count thing. So then it doesn't have a stored attack. Then it only attacks after you do 3 more attacks. I'm not sure yet. Again, we'll have to see with more gameplay and stuff released and things like that. But overall, they can attack in your turn, and their action count is determined by the amount of cards you play. In your turn / whatever. So after that action, however, the enemy will not act again until their next turn. When you end your turn, which is important, all enemies that have not taken action this turn will have their action count set to 0, which means, I believe, that even, let's just say that, like this 6, right? Let's say they had 6 left. You hit end turn. I think that means that they will then just attack right away. Like once your turn is over, then all enemies then attack no matter what. Or potentially it's 0, then for the next turn they will attack, but I guess it doesn't really matter either way. So yeah, I believe once you end turn, all enemies just attack anyway. It does say that enemies with an infinite action count will only take action once you have ended your turn. So we'll see later on. So like this enemy right here has an infinite action count. That means that from what they're saying, like it doesn't matter how many cards you play per turn, they'll never attack in the turn unless potentially there's a certain skill or something like a counterattack skill or whatever that the enemy has. It won't attack based off card action. It'll only attack once you end turn. That's the only time it'll attack base, right, without any extra, skills or whatever. The enemy's intent shows what action they are planning to take. This can be a single target attack, a multi-attack, or a status condition inflicting stress, blah, blah, blah. So, like, that would be this attack right here, this one right here. So this obviously would probably just be like a basic attack. I would imagine there are probably symbols for like this is probably a single attack. There's probably a multi-attack is probably like a double crossed sword, I believe. Yeah, probably this one right here with the double crossed sword. This is also another infinite action point character. Probably mostly bosses. You'll probably see that on. But this is probably a multi-attack. This is probably a single attack. Where is it? Status condition will probably have, like I said, its own kind of look. A stress inflict will probably have its own look, and then any other like attack combinations that an enemy can do. This just tells you so that you can kind of prepare your team for what might happen in the next action / the end of your turn. Obviously, you can click into the enemy's info. You can see more on the enemy. The HP bar is how you eliminate them. The little attribute symbol next to their HP bar shows their weakness attribute or the type of character they are weak to. So this, I believe it's this one. If they're not specifically talking about in a menu, this might be the weakness type. So I don't know what these characters' attack, types are. I'm not sure. Maybe like the border right here is their attack type. And then like this is, like purple. So maybe like she does more damage to this enemy specifically. Let me just double check on that real quick. Okay, so yeah, I believe that this border is the attack type. Because there was a character up above that had green attack and all his cards were green. So I'd imagine that that's just his attribute. So basically, from what they're saying is like this purple attribute is going to mean that this enemy takes more damage from the purple attribute. Not that they deal purple damage, just that they're weak to purple. And you can even see here weak to the symbol, which is this symbol. So her damage, presumably, if the border is correct, she's weak. This enemy is weak to the purple. I think void damage is what it's called. Some enemies will have a toughness bar, which again can lower with high cost cards or cards of enemies weakness attribute. So high damage dealing or weakness, I would imagine, deals more break damage, which is essentially what that toughness bar is, just their break gauge. Once their toughness is reduced to 0, they become subdued. When they're subdued, all allies reduce stress, which is good, very good. Breaking is going to be very important for keeping your stress levels low. So potentially like really high break damage characters comboed with high attack damage characters, so that you can get them broken, keep your team de-stressed. And also, I believe you get AP. Yeah, you gain 1 AP when you subdue an enemy. So that gives you an extra, basically, card or, card / give you an opportunity to play another card that you wouldn't have normally been able to play if it's 2 or 3 cost and you only have 2. So basically, it could give you another card to play in the next turn, I would imagine. I think you just gain 1 AP for the next turn. I don't know if that's permanent. I don't believe so. In addition, the enemy's action count is increased by 1. Their toughness will refill in the next turn. So basically, if you break them, like right now, after like let's just say that you play a card, it would probably be set to 5 because you played a card. But then if you break them, then it'd go back to 6. So it just kind of resets them back 1 action point. And then I don't know if like hypothetically, right, let's say you break them at 1, right? Then they go up to 2. Then let's say you play 2 cards, but they're broken. I wonder if they still attack even though they're, subdued, or if they'll attack at the end of turn only once they're subdued. But either way, it says their toughness will refill at the end of next turn. So it's not like a multiple turn break. It's just for that current turn. I would imagine they take more damage. I'm not sure, though. It might just be the specific, like, stress thing. Maybe that's, like, the very important part is, like, decreasing stress. But it doesn't say here that they receive more damage. It just says they're subdued. Your stress is reduced, and you gain 1 AP. So, yeah, that's kind of the generic, like, enemy kind of gameplay. Ego skills, like we spoke of earlier, you can see here. These are like essentially your ults. You gain these by just gaining ego points just through playing, taking damage. Maybe even like certain cards might give you AP boosts. Blah blah, or not AP, EP boosts. It's the bottom left here is the EP count. You can gain EP by playing certain cards. Yep, recovering from a breakdown, which gives you that +1. And then defeating an enemy also, defeating an enemy gives you more EP. Here's some examples. We'll just read off these, and then I'll kind of zoom in a little bit. Rin's Dark Cloud Arcane Art Truth costs 6 EP, which is pretty high. Deals 400% damage, reduces an enemy's toughness by 2 squares, which if we look back here, I would imagine these sections are squares. So, like, this attack, I'm not sure if they cut it too early, but this might be that it deals 1 square per weakness attack, or if, like, basic attacks deal just, like, damage, so it kind of dwindles down, and then this ult specifically gets rid of 2 squares. So, like, this section here and then this section would be gone, so then it would only have 1 more square left on its toughness bar. Again, we'll have to see. It inflicts 2 stacks of vulnerable, which probably means it just receives more damage. Priscilla's Tetra's Web costs 2 EP, which is really low. Probably more of like a buff potential ult. Maybe even this is a partner. I don't know. Deals 100% damage, so significantly weaker. So potentially a partner. Reduces an enemy's toughness by 1 square, which is good for a 2. That's a pretty good 2-cost ult. Reduces toughness by 1 and inflicts 2 rounds of passion vulnerability. Not sure what that means, but could easily mean like, passion vulnerability. So maybe this just like makes them vulnerable to passion, which is one of the attributes, or it just means that they have an increased vulnerability to passion. Not that they're just like straight up weak now to passion. But quickly to go into this screen here. So this is the 2 AP card. I believe this is the one with the passion, because it says 2 here. It's 2 cost. I would imagine that this is probably who this is. I'm not too sure specifically who this character is. I will probably have character breakdowns because they have some on their website, specifically like showing some of their skill cards and, all that stuff. But this is where your EP is, and then this is where your ults are for your characters. Like I said, there are partner ults, so I'm not sure where those would be located. But, yeah, so this is the one that they selected right here, and this is showing that it is either being cast or that it is selected to be cast. And, again, it's in Korean, but it deals potentially this blue damage type. Flashes and card flashes. Another thing that I kind of need to see more on, but I believe that, let me pull up this image quickly. At the start of your turn, a card might get a flash. Playing this card will inspire the combatant, who will regenerate one of their unique cards and set its cost to 0 for the turn. This card is permanently added to your deck for the rest of the run. So, your unique cards are not added to your deck initially, from what I'm understanding. So, I mean, if we were to just do this math real quick, there's 7 cards here, and 5 in the hand, and 0 in the discard, which means that there's 12, and each character has 4. You can have 3 characters, so that this kind of, I guess, shows that each starting pile will only have your starter deck cards, and then your unique cards per character are only generated through, skills slash, flash cards, blah, 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 any other way that you would generate unique cards. So and then, again, once these unique cards are generated, then they're added to your deck for the rest of this current, run slash battle, permanently to this, current battle, whether it be this wave or, the upcoming waves. So quickly, the only thing I can think for flash is this golden kind of tint on the corner of it. I would imagine that's probably the flash indication. And then again, this seems to be a multi-attack. So it looks like just sliding it up, do the multi-attack, and then you will deal that damage of that card. And then, like I said, it'll kind of cast your it'll generate the unique card of that specific character that you played it from. So it would generate, looks like her. It'll generate one of her unique cards into your hand, which then costs 0 AP, which means no matter what, you're able to play it that turn. If you want. Obviously, you can eat it and just kind of throw it into the discard. Not sure why you would, but I'm sure there might be instances where it's better to throw it into the discard. But again, that's just comes down to testing and play time. When you play a card with a flash, there's a chance for a card flash, which allows you to upgrade the card into a stronger version. This upgrade card lasts for the rest of the run. So this is separate from just throwing a flash card, because using a card that has a flash just generates a unique card. But then if your card, if there's a chance for a card flash, which I'm not sure why they named it the same thing, or at least very similar, but I guess if card flash happens, then you can permanently upgrade that card into a stronger one, which then again lasts for the rest of the run, same as the generated unique card up here. All right, well, that was everything left about battle gameplay. This is kind of like the part 2 to my last video, um, which is basically part 3 of the everything you need to know before launch. Quick side note before I forget, I did get access to the closed beta, so I'm very excited about that one. That's in about 2 days, so pretty much tomorrow night I should be live when I get back from work and other things that I'm doing. I should be able to go live and like stream it because there doesn't seem to be an NDA. So yeah, I'm ready to play. Either way, this was the like I said, the rest of the battle system. The next video is going to be on like the actual roguelike uh, kind of dungeony system. So I'm excited there because obviously that's going to be the main point of the game and the progression system, and also the one thing that I'm worried about. So that video will probably be out before I start doing any of the beta stuff because I want to get this everything you need to know out first. Finish this up, and then I'll probably do like a beta impressions or a beta update, based off of everything I've learned. So hopefully start some guides too of like best decks or this character. Like I'll probably do character breakdowns and whatnot. But either way, if you're new to the channel, subscribe would be greatly appreciated. It would let me know, if this is something that people want to see. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay cool, stay safe, and peace out.